That was not the ending that any of us hoped for, and it's one that's going to stick with the Bengals for some time. Let's get into the AFC Championship.
You are Locked On Bengals, your daily Cincinnati Bengals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, Bengals fans, and welcome to another episode of the Locked On Bengals podcast. I'm your host, Jake Liscow, along with your host, James Rapien, as we have you covered here on the Locked On Podcast Network every day. Rain, snow, cold, sun, whatever it is, we're going to have you covered here on the Locked On Podcast Network as the Bengals season has unfortunately come to an end. We're free and available everywhere you get your podcasts and on YouTube. So if you're new to the show, we will have you covered all offseason as free agency gets here, as a draft gets here, and all of those fun things that happen in the offseason. So hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, and we will continue to be with you through the good and the times like tonight, which are a little bit rough. Today's episode of the Locked On Bengals podcast brought to you by PrizePicks. All you do is you pick 2 to 6 players, whether they're going to go more or less than their projections, and you can win up to, I believe it's 25 times your money now. Free and easy to sign up and get started. You got an instant deposit match up to $100 using promo code Locked On. James, let's get into the AFC Championship game. Bitter pill to end the season, a really successful season.
Yeah, real quick, you mentioned off-season free agency and draft. And, man, I was thinking the other day about I was so into the draft a couple years ago, and it was like the thing to look forward to as a Bengals media person, fan, anything.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to not talking about the draft till – I'm not going to cuss – till mid-February at the earliest and beyond that. And now that might not be the case. I don't want to talk about any of that stuff ever until mid-February from now on. So came up a little bit short tonight. But, yeah, go ahead. I was just selfishly like, man, that
you're
sucks.
right.
I don't want to talk about the stupid draft. And it's not stupid, and I like the draft. It's also stupid tonight.
Tonight it is stupid. Maybe next week it will be less stupid. But tonight, for all of our listeners and for
prospects. Who gives a damn about prospects?
I can't name a single player that will be available when the Bengals
couldn't
pick it.
care less about them, and yet we're about to start caring, unfortunately. Go ahead. 23-20. What's up with 23-20, by the way? What's up with that score? Last year and this year.
Playoffs, man. Chiefs played a heck of a game on defense in this game. That's, I think, where the Bengals lost the game. They just didn't have consistent enough answers on offense. I thought the defense played a heck of a game, James. Just high-level thoughts here. I thought the defense, bend didn't break, gave up, a touchdown here or there, but by and large was the reason the Bengals had a shot in this one. And here we are again, nearly a year later, talking about the star defensive tackle of the Bengals opponent in their final game, making a game-winning play. Smart play for Steve Spagnuolo to put Chris Jones over Hakeem Adeniji in that spot. The Bengals did find some answers for Chris Jones throughout this game, but they got him a one-on-one, and he very swiftly won that one-on-one, much to our displeasure.
Yeah. It 3rd and 8. Look, they converted 3rd and 16, and I thought the game was over. I thought they were going to march downfield. It was just one of those.
Yep.
One of those. It's like, oh, you let him off the hook. You had him, Chiefs. You had him. You were going to get the ball back, and Burrow finds Hayden, and it's like, okay, they're going to find a way, and they didn't. It just
surprising.
It didn't work. I agree with you. I just because they were able to. There was a stretch here where they scored on 3 or 4 possessions.
Yep. Looked like they figured it out.
And they got the ball with 9 minutes left in the game and a chance to take their first lead. It was the first time they had the ball with a realistic shot of taking the lead. Now, you could say, all right, 3-0 or whatever. But, I mean, they were trailing the whole game, chance to get over the hump, couldn't do it. Then you get the ball back, 2:30 left, another chance, and couldn't do it. I agree with you. It's on the offense. It's on the offense, and it's got to be the trenches. In 4 sacks on your first 9 dropbacks.
That was so rough.
It was awful. It was rough, and it was rough because not only were they not able to block, but the false start on Adeniji completely derailed that first drive. I think they get points on that first drive. A lot of things.
By the way, because we're going to talk about officials, I'm just going to preemptively vent about this one because this one doesn't make the cut later. But can we stop having dead plays play out? Joe Burrow could have taken a hit. He scrambled on that play. He slid. But you let a whole play happen on a false start. Like, I get that it's loud.
Which shouldn't have. It should be blown dead. Yeah, it's loud. It's not that loud. Get better whistles, Ron Torbert. Anyways.
Oh, my God. Ron almost swore. Ron Tolbert, the next time he officiates a Bengals game is going to be too soon.
Torbert with an R. But you could probably get his name wrong. I thought you said
Tolbert.
Toll booth.
My
it's
bad.
Like Torbert.
Like
tore up confetti.
I'm upset. What can I say?
No, you're good. Our listeners don't care, but it's if you get his name right, they probably are happy you got it wrong. It stinks because offensively, the other part of this is the Tyler Boyd injury.
Huge deal.
If he doesn't go down, I think, and I'm not being sour or anything, I think they win because I think they have another answer to the test.
Well, and L'Jarius Sneed was hurt, right? And Tyler Boyd was eating after
So
that.
Boyd ate them alive, and then Higgins did a little bit, and then Jamar made a superhuman play.
Great play.
And I just think there would have been another couple of plays where you'd be like, oh, well, this is the Boyd play, much like the Hurst on 3rd and 16. There would have been a Boyd play in there, and then Jamar would have made a play, or Higgins would have. And so not having him, it's clear that honestly that you're 3 deep at receiver. And I like Trenton Irwin. Yeah. But you need something there, and that'll be something we can talk about. And I don't even know if that's draft wise, honestly. We'll see. But you really felt that this game. And Jamar, I talked to Jamar afterwards. He was like, yeah, I was getting doubled. He was getting doubled. Sometimes both of us were doubled on the same play. Yeah. That's tough. And it's no knock on Irwin, by the way. This is the AFC Championship game. Okay? The Chiefs didn't have their 4th guy doing stuff like that.
And they were down their slot corner too. They had injuries pile up in this game as well.
They did, no doubt.
But it comes down to the trenches, right? That's where we started. It comes down to every single offensive lineman had either a penalty or killed a play or killed a drive, right? Nobody was immune from the onslaught that the Chiefs brought tonight. And Frank Clark getting off the ball at home, playoff Frank Clark doing damage, Chris Jones doing damage. It was just that there were too many periods of the game where the offense just didn't have answers. They found some answers for a few drives. They got the 20 points,
but it was hard.
It was hard.
Even
it was hard for both teams, but it was hard.
The chase play, double team, 4th and 6,
incredible,
play. Insane play, no doubt. But it's 4th and 6. It's not 1st and 10 when he's making that play.
I know.
That was game saving type stuff.
Yeah.
The T play was obviously awesome and was not hard, but that was really the one easy does it play.
I mean the one where the touchdown.
I'm not saying it wasn't a hard play for him to make. Of course it was, but that's candy from a baby.
Yeah.
Okay. Burrow to T like that. If you do that, they'll throw that ball every time. Is what I'm saying. I know it takes skill to do it, but I'm saying it wasn't like this.
He dunked on him.
No doubt, but he dunks on him like that every time, but because he's T. Higgins, that's right. So that they make that look easy. I know it's hard for most people to do, but them moving the ball in general was hard.
It was,
and that's why they're 14-5 instead of 15-4.
What you said at the beginning of the year, you didn't want to be talking about the offensive line. We didn't hit that goal. Maybe next year. Let's talk about the officials a little bit, James. I don't want to spend. We have to talk about the officials.
We do.
It is what it is. We're going to do that next.
Do it. But first, today's show is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy the way it should be. And whether you want to take Jalen Hurts to hit the more on his projection, go over his projection with whether passing yards, rushing yards, and more with his upcoming game. Or maybe you want to go in the NBA now. Yeah, it's basketball season in the Rapien household, college hoops, and so much more. Basically, you pick 2 to 6 players if they're going to score more or less than their projection, and you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. You can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. Again, use promo code Locked On at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100.
So the Chiefs got to redo a third down in this game. I've never seen anything quite like that in my life.
Hey, Jake, I don't like the first 11 minutes of this podcast. I want to redo it. So let's just redo it. Let's pretend this didn't happen. Let's stop it, and let's just restart. What do you think?
Okay, I liked it.
See? But that's what actually happened in the AFC Championship game. I just wanted to give our listeners an idea of what the officials pulled.
That was really good. I thought you were dead serious.
No,
I was like, all right, I'm gonna go hit and record it.
Thank God you didn't end the recording. But that's what they did.
That was bizarre. And I was watching. I'm in Mexico, right? So I'm watching a Spanish language broadcast.
Oh my God!
This isn't about me, but I'm like, what is what is happening? I never got anything resembling an explanation until eventually I saw a replay of an official trying to run onto the field, and it wasn't clear whether that happened before or after the ball was snapped. But clearly, nobody stopped playing on the play. And then I got to yell "ball don't lie" on the next play when they got the sack, and then I was proven wrong. The ball did lie.
Yeah. Having that called, and they basically said that the play clock started, but the other clock didn't, and whatever.
And then they started the clock on an incomplete pass, and because of that, even though everyone did the play, they couldn't go back and fix the clock, but the play didn't count, and so
don't let the play happen. This goes back to your false start. Don't let it happen because you're putting everyone at risk, including Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
All right. Don't let it happen. Don't let them get hit. Don't let that happen. And then they have a chance to redeem themselves on the sack, and they call Eli Apple for the hold. I don't care. Don't throw the flag because you just did that. And it's just, I was really surprised the Bengals defense got out of that. And they deserve a lot of credit because they got out of it.
Mad credit.
And I don't know where you want to go next. I want to go to the block in the back that wasn't, unless there's something else that stood out to you. And you saw that. You saw that. That was a block in the back. I watched it live. So that happened live, and I instantly had to write the story of them losing because I knew they were going to I knew.
Yeah, big punt return, right? 30 seconds left, whatever it was. Yep. I mean, as soon as they.
So I didn't watch many replays, but it looked like a block in the back when I saw a replay after the game.
Yeah, I mean, you could go a number of ways with officiating in this game, and I'm sure the Chiefs.
Well, I just mentioned that one. What else you got? Go ahead.
I mean, you could talk about the Joseph Osai thing. I think it's probably the correct call. I mean, technically, by the letter of the rule, it's certainly the complete call. There was a shove. The quarterback was out of bounds. You see that not called as well at times. Patrick Mahomes got tripped, and, it's an unfortunate situation. I mean, the bottom line is, and I have a lot of sympathy for Joseph Osai in this situation. He's trying to make a play, right? It's hard. You're running full speed. You're going real fast. You don't want to give up too many yards because we've seen in the past where Bengals players have let guys tightrope the sideline because they don't want to get a flag, right? You've seen this happen for a lot of teams. You have to have a little bit more spatial awareness, know where you are on the field, right? Yep. But it doesn't make it feel any better. And he was having a heck of a game too.
He was. Look, I think no one feels worse than him, and I saw it firsthand. And that it really sucks to be. I feel awful for him because I think he's a really, really nice kid and really wants to do just awesome, and so it really sucks. And I think he'll use it to fuel him after he gets over it a little bit. The time passes. That said, I get the call. It's almost like in the NBA or in basketball in general. I like certain calls in the first quarter that I don't necessarily love in the fourth quarter. And I'm not even going to complain about this call in general, because if it were flipped, I think a lot of our listeners would say, oh, well, you better call that for Burrow. Like, right. I get it.
But Burrow did get the call a few plays earlier on a late hit, by the way.
No, but that's – I also don't want that deciding the game.
Yeah.
And it did. It just put the game on ice. I don't want a foul to be called with 2.1 seconds on a jump shooter that's fading away with 1 second left on the shot clock because you clipped his wrist a little bit. Like, is it a foul? Probably a foul, but it also decides the game because you put the guy at the free throw line, and that's it. You put Harrison Butker at the free throw line. That's what happened.
And it's different if it's like a pass interference penalty that, like, is blatant, right? Like, you tackle Jamar Chase and prevent him from catching a go ball, right? Like,
it'd be different if he tackled Mahomes or hit him helmet to helmet, or Mahomes was running. It wasn't like it was a roughing the passer.
Right.
It was just he pushed him.
Too late. I mean, technically it was too late.
And it was. I get it. And I just clearly this officiating crew, though, was never going to not blow the whistle.
It's the worst way to see these games end. It's another game with Ron whatever's crew
Torbert
with the Bengals after last year's Super Bowl where they
called
the game.
What he just called? Hold on. He just called a holding on us.
On me? Come on, man. I'm just doing a podcast. Look, it's just like the same thing that we said that well, I don't know if we talked about
That's a 10 listener penalty.
Oh, God. We're already losing enough listeners, Ron. Please. Look, it's
repeat podcast. All right, sorry. It's late, man.
Oh. Maybe I should have brought that glass of wine for the podcast. I can almost reach it, just out of my reach.
I'm drinking some good old Dasani.
Yeah. The point I was trying to make was that it didn't seem consistently officiated for the whole game. And like the calls in crunch time or the no calls in crunch time, you can talk about the intentional grounding where Samaje Perine's like 5 yards away.
Right there. I don't understand that. He's right there.
And on the other side of that play, Chiefs fans feel that Chris Jones was held on that play. So, it just goes to show that there's two sides to every story, but it felt like every big call down the stretch, the no call on the Joe Burrow hit, the no call on the block in the back, the call on Patrick Mahomes out of bounds. Jamar Chase at one point asked for a pass interference call that he didn't get when he got hit in the helmet. Actually, he thought he was interfered with, and you could see him stumbling. I didn't see a good enough replay to say definitively whether he was interfered with, but he wanted the call. And we've heard him talk about how he doesn't feel like he gets calls. So, it felt like those tilted in the Chiefs. Oh, and the other one, the first down where the ball gets extended and then he brings it back on his own volition, which apparently the rule is if you bring it back on your own, you don't get forward progress. So,
and I still don't know if all the replays that I saw were not down the line. They were at an angle.
Yeah. Did he actually get the first down? At least measure it, right?
It looked like it from that angle. But the angle is skewed because of the way it is. I don't think replay is if it's definitive, like to overturn. I didn't think it was definitive. Now, could you have changed the spot? Sure. But where do you spot it? I don't think it was clear he got the first down. Really weird. Weird that was overturned. But look, maybe it's the officiating crew, maybe whatever it is. It was weird. And yet, despite all of it,
they could have won.
They could have won. And that's how I kind of want to end that part of it, because that's what I think. If I sat Joe Burrow down or a lot of these guys down, that's what they would say.
Oh, yeah. They had the ball with a chance to win. They got the first down on the 3rd and 16. We talked about it earlier. It was like the drive of destiny. You give Joe Burrow the ball with 2 minutes left. You can't control the clock well enough. All Joe Burrow needs to do is get another 20, 30 yards, and you're at least kicking a field goal. And that's what I thought was happening there.
And so then he passed it to Hayden Hurst for 2 yards. Incomplete to Irwin, Burrow sack.
And they also had that play action screen. Like there were some head scratchers for me in this game. But it's harder to do everything when you're down 3 offensive linemen. And that's what I keep coming back to. Like everybody on the offensive line lost tonight. And
everybody did. You're right. They all lost. I agree.
That was that. Well, I mean, we'll see on tape, right? But
it felt like it though. Even if it's, like on the road in games like this, like even if you one guy does win, man, it just so maybe one. But Volson got beat some. The three backups got beat. So there's 4. Karras got called for a penalty. Maybe he was trying to bail out Cordell. I'm not sure.
It was a hold. I mean, yeah, maybe it was on. They could have called it on Volson too, probably. Anyway,
yeah.
There's some dumb narratives that are happening now too.
Yeah. We'll dive into that quickly, and then let's be honest, we'll get the hell out of here. Yeah. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is the only app you need at your Super Bowl party, which, well, yeah, America's #1 sports book. That is FanDuel. We're really excited about them, and we are. I love that we're partnered with FanDuel here on Locked On, because not only are they America's #1 sports book, but you're going to be able to use them, and you can use them right now in Ohio. So if you listen in Ohio, well, you can go to FanDuel right now and download the FanDuel app and bet on Super Bowl 57 or the NBA or anything else with their no-sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on anything from the money line to point spreads, who will score a touchdown, and so much more. Prop bets. And their sportsbook app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel at FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim your no-sweat first bet right now. Again, on Super Bowl 57 or anything in between, that's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
So how about that mayor, huh? You think he just torpedoed his Cincinnati political career? I don't know anything about his politics, to be clear, but I mean, man.
No, and we're not going to talk about all of that talk. And I asked Joe Burrow after the game about it, and he saw it, right? He said it's fun and it's all about the competitive spirit, and that's football, and obviously they respect the Chiefs and vice versa. And I agree with him, and I think that's true. Here's what I didn't like about the mayor. He made it about himself.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's not the Cincinnati AFTABs. It's the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm serious. That's something that we wouldn't even do, and we're literally in the entertainment arena.
Yeah.
He's a politician. Make your stupid bet about how you're going to have to send Cincinnati chili and all these Cincinnati staples, Grater's ice cream and all that stuff to Kansas City, to the Kansas City mayor, if the Chiefs win. And vice versa, the Chiefs or the Kansas City mayor would send you all the KC staples, whether it's the barbecue and all those things. That's what you do. You don't hereby declare the day, blah, 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 blah. I know it caught the Bengals off guard. I know they weren't expecting that. The paternity test and it's insane. Just dumb.
Unhinged.
It's just dumb. And I don't blame Travis Kelce for going off. I don't blame Patrick Mahomes or Brittany Mahomes or anybody for thinking it's weird, because it is weird and it was stupid. And I would have said it was stupid if the Bengals won by 50 or 5 or 55. It doesn't matter what the result was. I talked to people yesterday and said how stupid it was.
Yeah.
Because it was stupid. I still don't understand it. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what person told him to do that. And I hope someone shows him this, because it was stupid. You made it about you, and it isn't about you. All right? That's it. Who cares? What are you doing? Send out your stupid tweet that says, "Good luck, Bengals. We hope you win. See you." So by the way, so you can go to Super Bowl 57, Mayor. Good God. That was the one that annoyed me. The Burrowhead stuff, whatever. And Mike Hilton, I get it was in the moment he said it, and
yeah,
that's not why the Chiefs won. That's not why Chris Jones happened to be good today. Chris Jones was good because he's damn good, and the Bengals couldn't block him. That's not why Mahomes threw for 300 today. And by the way, the dime to Marquez Valdez-Scantling for the touchdown was a freak show throw.
That's one of the better throws I've ever seen.
I mean,
I thought Joe Burrow's throw to Hayden Hurst that was not completed was also one of the better throws I've ever seen. Just to, level out the scale there on praise.
No, Burrow had some good throws, and he battled through some stuff and worked through the line. And Look, honestly, I wanted to end by going on. That was the trash talk that I didn't like was the mayor stuff. So
yeah, I mean, we've seen it go both ways, right? We've seen the Bengals derive motivation from Tom Brady using a word innocuously to more direct trash talk. And when you lose, you're going to hear about it. Did it decide the game? I mean, no, we just talked about it. The Bengals had a couple of chances there to go win the game at the end, and
Yep.
they couldn't do it. But these little edges, right? If it's the Chiefs, maybe get 1% out of it. Maybe they played 1% better, which is ridiculous. Like, you can't quantify by percentages how well someone plays, right? But say they played 1% better in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the difference in the game? Maybe.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was a literal. I mean, it was that close. But the thing about the Bengals being 3-0 going into this game against the Chiefs, they were all close. They were all either way. They were all 50-50 games. It wasn't like the Bengals just kicked the Chiefs' tail every game. And I knew it was really realistic that they could lose this game. And yet I still thought with 2:30 left, I still have the game, so I'm not going to read it and make people, but I have it right here. I mean, I want to see how many words I have just to make
I mean, it writes itself, right? 2:30 left in the game. Joe Burrow
500. I have 500 words right now.
Another fourth quarter with no touchdowns allowed to the Kansas City Chiefs. Joe Burrow remains undefeated in January. That's what the story could have been tonight. Alex Kappa plays, maybe that's the story tonight, right?
Tyler Boyd plays, maybe that's the story.
It's too bad.
Injuries Collins plays, maybe that's the story. Yeah, injuries happen, man. You got to overcome them, and they overcame them up until tonight. And
they ran into, well enough. In my opinion, an evenly matched opponent. Like, the Chiefs are not a perfect team. They're a really good team. The Bengals, I think, are a really good team. A generally successful season. I think that, we probably learned a little something about home field advantage, at least as far as officiating goes. There's always a chance that those hometown calls go your way.
Holding.
Again, Ron?
Jesus.
Just let us come on, man.
Real talk, I can't believe I got you with the restart the pod at 11 minutes.
That was incredible. I was like, really? I'm tired, man. What are we doing? I've been out here partying for a week. All right, let's get out of here. I'm flying tomorrow, so you'll have James and whatever he comes up with. We will have a show for you, though. Yeah, I'll be back home.
We'll be good.
We'll go as we do. We will digest and reflect upon this year a little bit before we're ready to move on full-fledged to the offseason. There will be some other things that we'll have to talk about this week too, James. Jermaine Pratt captured going off the field, yelling at Joseph Osai, his free agency upcoming. That'll be a decision.
Video on allbengals.com.
Perfect. Great. Jesse Bates will be a decision that we talk about. Joe Burrow's contract and some conversation around that last week that we haven't talked about yet on this podcast.
You're going to hear from Jesse Bates on our next show. I already know that.
So make sure you're here. Locked On Bengals podcast, YouTube, iTunes, Apple Podcasts. That's the same thing. Spotify, Google Podcasts. That's what I meant to say earlier. We're on all the platforms. So we appreciate you sticking with us this year. It's been a really fun. Ron, it's been a really fun year. We appreciate all of you who have come along for this ride with us, and we hope you stick with us because we are going nowhere. That's going to do it for this episode of the Locked On Bengals podcast. Like I said, we appreciate every single one of you who listen. We'll end the season with a hooday and have a good one.